Okay, family, you already know what time it is. Get your drink, pull up. We're about to get into it. I actually got this idea from one of my subscribers who sent me an email, so we're going to get into it. Welcome to the channel. Welcome back to the channel. And let's talk about what do you do? Not only what do you do in the first 24 hours after something has happened, but how do you even know something has happened in the first 24 hours, right? I got an urgent email. I won't share her name or anything, but the gist of it was she was explaining how, near their home, there was this huge sonic boom. Her husband is prior military and didn't himself recognize it as anything that could be explained, right? As far as military stuff, sonic booms, just didn't know what it was. And of course, the first instinct was to run outside and see what it was. And after the fact, she was wondering, like, should she have even done that, and still they went outside and didn't know what it was. And just how do you know, right? So this is what I want to talk about. One, I want to talk about how would you know what has happened. I want to talk about some stuff to just think about, right? This is not a list or some sort of order or I know everything. This is just some things that I would be concentrating on in that first moment that I feel like something has happened, and how I would be deciphering what event it is by things that I'm able to do and not do, okay? And then I'm gonna go real quickly through a list of things that you should not be doing, okay? So this is the real answer. Something could happen and the truth is you may not know, right? Because it could be in a different part of the country. Comms could be down. If communication is down, that's a huge piece of people trying to figure out what is going on. And then depending on what exactly happened would depend on what backup comms or other sources of communication you could then use, okay? That's the hardest piece of this, okay? There's very certain things that right away you could determine what has happened. If your car stops working in the middle of the road when you're driving and everybody's car around you, for the most part, stops working around you, just dead in the water, that means a CME has happened. That means an EMP has happened. And you need to just get out of the vehicle and start making your way home. If you've got some sort of get home bag in your car, you have some sort of supplies, throw them in a bag and start walking home, okay? Because if it's all those vehicles, that's not a quick fix. And that, I'm telling you right now, that's not everybody's waiting around for a tow truck or waiting around for some light switch to be turned back on. If all cars around you go dead, get home, okay? Because a CME or a major EMP in your area has happened and it's not gonna just turn back on, okay? I would say if you're able to push your vehicle off the side of the road to a safer area, if you're able to lock it, do all those things, okay? Just as a precaution, but get home. So there's certain things. Let's just say we lose comms. You're out and about or you're home and you just lose all phone, right? There's some things you can do to figure out, have other people lost their phones, right? You can turn on your emergency broadcast. Has anything come through on the radio? Are they talking about anything on the radio? Your phones are dead, but is the TV dead, right? So if there's still aspects, pieces that are live, you know that it's either concentrated to your area, it's only a certain little thing that's happening. It could just be a grid down situation, right? It could just be a matter of you're going out and you're seeing if your neighbors are experiencing the same things. Phones are down, but their TVs are on. You know what's being told to you on the TV. Turn on your news. Is there any emergency broadcast coming over the TV or phones or whatever that is live still? Okay, it's hard and it's difficult to tell people what to do because it's going to be dependent on what exactly is happening, right? So EMP, CME, we talked about. Grid down. So grid down is just all of a sudden we don't have power. Well, what does that mean? oftentimes you lose power, you still have your phone service, you're able to call and figure out, is it a temporary thing? If it's something major going on, call in a friend across town, hey, is your power out? Right? So if you know that's happened, then you know it's a smaller scale thing. It's not the end of the world. But if you don't have power, you're able to call people and they say they don't have power, or maybe you're not able to call people, you're talking to neighbors, nobody has power, nobody's finding out the answer of why. Because a lot of times, depending on what type of sources, communication sources people have, people will get information. So you might get a piece of information from a neighbor that you're not able to get through. They're able to get through and get a piece of information. Hey, they said this whole area, it is a major grid down, but it's just this city, or whatever the case might be, okay? Intel. You're gonna have to figure out what's going on. Now, to my specific subscriber who was like, you hear loud booms, do you go outside? I think that in your gut, for me, in my gut is gonna tell me what to do, okay? If it is a crazy boom and I got no warnings on my phone and my phone is live, I'm going outside, binoculars, try to see what I can see, okay? If everything's dead, I hear a boom and the lights go out and the phones don't work and things like that, okay, what's going on? It's a much bigger scenario of what is happening around us, okay? And at that point, I'm trying to see from inside what's going on, okay? I'm trying to see from vantage points of what's going on, okay? And then I make a determination if I'm gonna go outside and see if I can see something, like a mushroom cloud or something bigger has happened around me. To me, there's certain things though that you're gonna do. So let's walk through that. My first thought for me is getting everybody home. Everybody has to be home. If I'm out, I'm getting home. Kids know if they're out, they get home. Something happens, anything weird happens, cars stop working, phones stop working, all the power's out, any kind of major grids, people start, what's going on? They know it's not their business to know what's going on. It's their business to get home, okay? So getting everybody home, staying put. We are not going out and doing certain things. We're not going out and panicking and getting last minute supplies. We are staying home, because at that point it's determining what is happening. If at all possible, how close is whatever has happened to us. So if you're talking about an EMP, CME, things like that, depends on where that hits, okay? If it's an enemy related EMP attack, missile, okay, where did they send that missile? East Coast, West Coast, right? What parts of the country? It might not be anywhere near you and you're okay. CME, where does that hit around the world? Okay, depending on where that hits around the world will depend on how far that ventures out and harms people, okay? You could have a CME hit that affects a different part of the world, and then you start getting reports. It's not affecting you in the sense of immediate, grid down or loss of phone. But if you lose contact all of a sudden with people overseas, it could be something like that, okay? What's some other things that could happen? Nuclear war, that's a big deal. There's not much you can do with that except get on your comms, get on your radios, see what you can find out. I'm telling you right now, though, if something like that as big is happening, you should see, even before grid down, hopefully, blast on the TV, emergency broadcast, blasted on our phones. DEFCON levels will go up, right? Well, in this case, they'll go down, okay? The lower the number, the more extreme it is, okay? So 3 is where everybody kind of starts to like, we're DEFCON 3. Like the people are like, panic, and sometimes people put out false information. We're DEFCON 3, whatever. But DEFCON 2 and 1, like from 3, 2, and 1, that is your, if you start getting information over the radios about DEFCON 2 or 1, that means nuclear war, okay? Is imminent. It's gonna happen. That means take cover. That means seal off your house. That means hunker down, because you have no idea where that's gonna hit at, and you could just be leaving to go into the fire of a worse place, okay? So you want to hunker down, okay? All right, so get everybody home, stay put, collect intel. That's from neighbors, that's from comms, that's from Go10, that's from CB radios, that's from ham radios, that's from any source that you have. You're trying to get information. Is that the phone still live? Is the internet still live? Is the TV still live? If the TV, phone, internet, things like that are dead in the water and you really just have no clue what is going on, right? You didn't get any emergency broadcast system warnings before they went down. They're just all of a sudden dead. There's nothing else you can do except hunker down, pull out your other radio sources. And this is the thing, if it was an EMP or a CME and you didn't have that stuff in Faraday cages, those might not be working. So you're going to pull out your backups out of Faraday cages if that is not working and start getting the information, okay? You know, basic, this is a lot of people get very hung up on Faraday cages and what to do and all this stuff. Do this. Get you some tins. Get you a cookie tin, get you the popcorn tins, different tins that you get usually during the holidays, different things in. Get you one of those, get you a small one. Get you a small radio, the small AM, FM radio. Put that in there, okay? The kind that you can literally crank with your hand to power. You don't need batteries, you don't need solar. You literally can crank it to get power, okay? Put that in that tin. Put a bunch of tin foil around it. Put that tin in another tin, put a bunch of tin foil around it, and then put that in another tin if you can, okay, with a bunch of tin foil. Then get a rubber sealing on the last tin or on the tins as you go, rubber sealing that you can put around the lid itself, seal it down, okay? And just have this, okay? Pick you up an old dryer, okay? An old dryer at a whatever place, right? Swap meet, whatever, right? It doesn't have to work, you guys. Get that. Maybe you have one in your garage. Get that. Throw that tin in that dryer or that old washer, okay? And leave it, okay? And that is simple. That radio costs you 20 bucks, some tin foil, some old tins that you're putting inside of each other, and then throw it inside an old microwave, an old oven that you have, an old fridge, whatever, okay, that's metal that you have that's old, put it in there, okay? Washers, dryers, dryer I think is the best, and microwave is the best. And just put it in there, okay? And just see what that does for you, okay? Because at the end of the day, if something big happens at EMP, something huge happens, just having that one piece of radio that you can pull out to listen around the world what is happening could be beneficial to you, okay? The reality is we just might not know, but your job is going to be to get the pieces, to get the things, to connect the dots of what is happening around you, what information you are getting, and then make a decision. I'm going to tell you most decisions are going to have you staying in your home, okay? The good thing too is that's the good thing. You're just going to hunker down. You're going to fortify your home and you're going to hunker down. The good news too is if you're preparing for grid down, that will help you with all of these things that I'm talking about, okay? It's just your job to get home and not go out and stay safe, because when the people don't know what's going on, when a majority does not know what's going on, that's dangerous. And that's when chaos happens, and that's when it's going to be dangerous to go outside, okay? So you're hunkering down, you're fortifying your home, and if you're preparing for grid down, you're prepared for the EMP, the CME, right? You're prepared for that stuff. You're prepared for the effects possibly of a nuclear device, especially obviously if you're far enough away, right, to not have those effects. Different story if you're right there in the blast zone, okay? But good news is grid down will help you kind of live through that situation, however long it lasts. And then implement your plans. You should have emergency plans written out. If this happens, this is what we do. If this happens, this is what we do. So that you're not frantic trying to think what's going on. As you collect the pieces of what's happening around you, then you're pulling out those plans to implement those plans, okay? This is what you're not doing. It's chaotic outside. It's dangerous outside. You're not, the goal should be that you're not the one getting gas last minute. You're not at the pharmacy getting meds. You're not out pillaging and foraging and trying to loot and get stuff. You're not out there trying to get propane and other fuel or food or water or any of those last minute preps. Okay, the goal is you work on that stuff now so you don't have to worry about it later, so that if something happens, you can spend your time concentrating on figuring out what is happening, because that might be harder to figure out than you think, you know? People think, oh, we'll know if something happens. You might not know, okay? Nuclear bombs could be dropped on the other side of the country, and then that takes out that whole comms. And who knows how long it takes for that information to actually get back to us that stuff happened, okay? And we're all connected, right? The whole United States is all connected, grid-wise, all that stuff. So something happening somewhere else could still affect you in a lot of ways, okay? Somebody asked me one time, what would you do if Red Dawn happened, right? You're just chilling at your house, and all of a sudden, you know, you see paratroopers falling out the skies or whatever, or aliens, right? This is like the crazy things. And really my answer is the same every time, you guys. And it kills me when I see different things in TVs, but I'm going to fortify. I'm going to hunker down as much as I can in where I know I have preps to survive on, where I know I have defensive tools, and I'm going to do the best I can do to handle business in my piece of the world, right? Where I live, where me and my family are at, okay? And you know, I don't know what that looks like. I think that's totally scary. You know, I don't know how you prepare for aliens or how you prepare for, you know, a Red Dawn situation. I do know that a lot of instincts would kick in, and we would be defending and hunkering down and fortifying like crazy. So I'm doing these videos like this, you guys, because a lot of people are reaching out to me to ask me, you know, what are you doing to prepare for war and for this, and how do we even know what is happening, you know, with the current situation, what's going on? I'd say just keep watching the news in general, right, across the board. Try to keep it even toned with where you're getting your resources from, right, your resources, but pay attention what's going on. For the most part, directly affecting you physically, like in your face, you're not going to have to worry about anything. It's going to be all the side effects of war. It's going to be the food situation and getting supplies and rations. It's going to be all that stuff. It's going to be the economic. It's going to be the imports, exports, and how that affects us as a people and getting things. It's going to cause panic for some people, right? It's going to cause panic because there's a large part of our society who has never dealt with conflict like this and is not going to know what to do, okay? But we're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. You're going to be okay. But when any situation happens major, these are kind of the things that I think about, and my first actions, if you will, in determining what is truly happening, and then therefore what is the action required to, you know, figure out what we're doing. But most instances, we're staying where we're at. We're not leaving. And two, if you're preparing for grid down, you've prepared for a lot of scenarios, okay? Because you prepared to hunker down with much less, okay? So I'm excited to see the comments today, and I'll see you guys tomorrow in the next video. Take care.